Here's me in my wild natural state with my wild hair. I just got out of bed. I just wanted to make this video while I was thinking about this topic of kind of community support, looking after each other, looking out for each other. When I first got ill, I had a real problem with this. My partner at the time was amazing, but she was basically looking after me with no support for herself. So, that was pretty draining for her. And then we were also looking out for someone else who was in quite severe need. Together we were doing that. And pretty much nobody, even though I put out, on social media and, I just tried to be as kind of open as I could be and vulnerable as I could be about, I'm in dire need here. I'm seriously ill. And pretty much no one came to the rescue. I was really very upfront about it, in terms of like, this is serious. I'm genuinely struggling here, and my partner's genuinely struggling as well. And I know there's people that don't have partners as well. I'm in that situation now with a chronic illness. Thankfully I'm not as ill as I was, but I still have additional needs, and it just seems that people just don't seem to grok that need, or they don't. I don't know. It's really weird. It's like, I know we live in this crazy society where people are working their asses off just to have enough money to pay the bills, and everything's kind of incredibly fast and pressured and stressful. But even with that, I just find it surprising that when people know of the existence of these other people who are struggling, like myself and people I know who've got chronic medical conditions, a lot of us have this experience of like, we just fall off the end of the world. And it's like, why aren't people just checking in and offering a little bit of practical help? It's like, just keeping a house together takes a lot of energy, right? And if you've got a chronic illness like ME, CFS, long COVID, something like that, just those basics are kind of not possible for a lot of people. I'm just about able to keep it together, but only just. And it would just mean so much if other people, just had that kind of awareness and that empathy and that willingness to practice active compassion. Never mind just like caring for everyone in principle, but actually going out of their way to, check in, ask if you want some help with the washing up, do you want some shopping, or just emotionally, it's like, how are you coping? Because obviously a lot of us have very limited social lives because of our condition. So it's like, well, we're not going out and meeting that many people. So this kind of inbound thing is really important to have, like, people that are actively checking up. So I've talked before about inbound support and outbound support, and having to always reach out is a little bit draining and a bit demoralizing. So it'd be great to have this kind of inbound, kind of active radar thing from other people. How you doing? You just simple, just checking in. So yeah, just thought I'd share that today. One other thing I was going to say, sometimes I get invited to events, and certainly early on, and this will be like group email, so there'll be like an event and someone's kind of inviting people on Facebook or maybe even on a WhatsApp group, and it's like, okay, so you're inviting me to a group that's like wanting me to be part of this, part of your audience, if it's like a gig or something like that, or part of an event. On the one hand, it could be like, that's great that I'm being included, but there is something about, there's a kind of insensitivity around that. Certainly I remember in the beginning, there's someone that sent me these invites to concerts, and I'm like, if you knew the situation I was in, if you knew my condition, you'd know that I can't attend. And it's actually, it's a kind of, it looks different to what it is. It looks like a friendly invitation, and on the other hand, it's kind of evidence of quite a deep lack of understanding and kind of consideration. Not to kind of be ungrateful, but I'm really struggling with it because I don't want to be ungrateful. I want to focus. Well, not focus. I want to acknowledge the positivity in my life and be grateful for people who are there in whatever way they are. But I also don't want to deny the experience of myself, and I think a lot of people, where we just, I don't know, we're just kind of left to rot really with our chronic illnesses, and that can be emotional, it could be mental health as well as physical health, but it just seems to be this lack of basic looking out for each other in a really simple way, nothing fancy, not like, come to this this amazing healing workshop, or come to this concert or something like that. More simple than that, just like, how you doing, mate? Even if you can't offer any practical support, just that emotional support would make a difference. But then, is there anything practical you'd like? I remember early on I couldn't even take the bins out. I just couldn't pick up that bin liner and take it outside. I was so weak with my illness. And of course, if you can't do that kind of stuff, then, stuff falls apart. Anyway, I've said enough. This is my thoughts this morning. Hope my crazy appearance doesn't offend you. So yeah, please consider, if you know anyone with a chronic illness, or just anyone that you think might appreciate a bit of contact, then please consider reaching out, offering companionship, offering practical support if you have it to give. Okay, thanks for watching.